This is the most beautiful time of the year. It's been 2 years that I made the last video showing what's going on here in our food forest, side garden, permaculture setup, edible yard here in North Florida. Today I'll show you the side yard, the chicken yard food forest, our little orchard, and in the row garden. A new addition that we installed last year are the bathtubs. There are 6 of them. I have a video on that. I will put the link down below, and I've been so happy with these. These are truly the best raised beds. So to the right here we have the tradition, the snow pea line and some 4 o'clocks. This is the plant for seed saving. They're doing good. And the rest will still eat. Like this guy. And here are the tubs. The zinnia self-seeded. I still have kale. There are zucchini in here that always do good. This is the hard part, seed saving. Look at the size of this thing. But I have to keep it. This is a cocoa cell. I only plant cocoa cell from now on. I love them. They are not very seedy. They cook up nice. And why do different ones? Then they cross-pollinate and I can't keep the seeds. These are little alpine strawberries from seed. I hope they make it through. It's in one of those clay pots where they can cascade over. Hopefully I get it through summer. And then from now on there'll be peppers in these pots. There's an old, I don't know, broccoli, kohlrabi, who knows what. These I still have to plant in now. Another strawberry. They're so good. Now we go out here. This little island established itself nicely. This is just a Everglade in a pot, but it's a raised bed, and I have now, in winter it's usually herbs. There's still parsley left. These are the scallions from the store. If you want to see pollinators on anything, look for them at the allium blooms. They just love it. Butterflies, wasps. And in the center is a plum tree, which never made for lack of a pollinator tree, and flowers and bushes and whatnot, and the skinks are happy with this. So this side of scallions, that's their second year, the second time blooming. They cost a bushel, cost what, $1.39. Stick them in the ground and you have top onions, green onions forever. There on the side here is a pomegranate. Over here another little plum. Look at those peaches. Sadly, a lot of them have worms in them this year. And I can't identify what the critter is that leaves them in there, so whatever falls down gets picked up and goes to the chickens. They love them. And then hugging right next to it is a persimmon. They've been setting nicely. I love persimmon. They stay small. And over here we have from seed that were just thrown out and we let it go. Looks like a ponderosa lemon when it's done. And they set a lot. It had the first ones last year, and this year it's just loaded. We'll see how that limb goes because they get huge. On the right, more pomegranate and 2 more plums. And on the left, fence has been there for a while, but we just planted what's in there yesterday. These are Armenian cucumbers on the posts, and then okra in between, all the way down. Now wait till you see all our okras. We planted a total of 181 okras. That's out of frustration because the last 2 or 3 years we could not have an okra harvest no matter how many we planted. It was the ants that got to them, and this year I want okra. I want to pack it away, dehydrated, canned. I want to eat it until I'm sick of okra. This little strip is mostly moringa. This moringa and the one in the background and the one next to it and the one over here, I keep them at about shoulder height for harvesting, and so they stay tender, and I don't want all the shade from them. And then in between are just flowers. This is a chaya spinach that came back despite the cold weather we had. So they're flowers, lilies, oxalis. Look at the bee on it. They love it. Just helps for looks and pollinators. 4 blueberries on this side. The one in the center died, the number 5. And then in between I will be sticking some peppers, probably cayenne. This is the raised bed on the blocks. These are 2 block high. And this year I have green beans in. They're fizzled out now, but we got a couple meals of green beans already from them. Whoop, where is it? Over here. And then also in the center we have a couple carrots. I haven't even checked on them yet. And we have turnips. Now last year I had made an effort growing turnips. I planted them nicely, I thinned them out. Didn't work right, barely got anything. And this year I just threw them in there. And that seems to work better. Neglect gardening. Gotta pull these today before they toughen up. I love eating them with a horseradish sauce. And also they are really super good fermented. And on the far side here, this whole strip, these are for carrying over seeds. So they get to grow big until they dry out. As long as the stink bugs or something else doesn't get them, we'll have seed for next year. This semi-raised bed has a whole row of okra. I told you there's okra, and a whole row of peppers. I do not grow the big bell peppers anymore. They just take too long. But anything in between, the little yellow one, the lunch peppers, nardellos, banana peppers, they're all good. Of course, despite the netting, the armadillo got in and it just tore it up. So we had to put flags in to hold them up. And I had to fortify this hole right here. But once they catch on, we'll take the netting off. Then it doesn't matter because the roots are going to be good. In here, also fortified. In the back is jicama. They grow these shoots. They don't climb really, but they have long shoots and they bloom really pretty with blue flowers. And the roots good too. And in the front is our peppers again, and I believe all these are cayenne. I use a lot of cayenne peppers to grind them up and put them in beds because before I plant, because I get the voles in it and they are ruthless. They will eat the carrot roots right in front of you. Ugh. We just worked on this area over the weekend, cleaning it out. So we cut back the bamboo because it just made so much shade, and our beautiful satsuma, it died this year. It wasn't, it's supposed to be cold hardy and it was a healthy tree. I don't know how it happened. So now we have more okra in here all the way over there. 2 more Armenian cucumbers. I envisioned them growing them up on this tray. And here is some Hokkaido peppers. Outside my little greenhouse, 2 more bathtubs. I'm loving bathtubs. I wish I had 100. There is still some carrot in here. Let's see. Yep. And this is another Hokkaido pumpkin, not pepper, it's Hokkaido pumpkin. This had mash in it, and I leave this one for seed out. And then there are still tubers in it from Jerusalem artichoke, and they will come up then. When it gets warmer, it always takes them a little bit. This is my ginger pot. 4 more peppers. There was lettuce in here, and there is some in the back, so I can collect the seeds. And all this is leek. Leek almost takes 2 years, but it's worth it. And it does grow even through the summer. This set, it's shady like this almost all day. This is our mulberry. We're obviously not eating berries of this anymore, too tall up. But I like how the stem is cut back and it gives us beautiful shade. And here is another kind of plant island as well. And a bird bath that needs the water. There's oregano in it and obviously flowers. This is okinawa spinach. It's the one that has the purple underside. And then there is a lot of longevity spinach in it. It appreciates that dabbled shade. They don't really do well in the full sun. There are garlic chives in here and turmeric, which isn't up yet. So there's food for us and for the birds and the bees and everything. The banana circle, not that we ever eat bananas because it always freezes before they make, but that's where our stuff goes that is seedy, weedy, woody, things that I don't want in the compost. And this is an olive tree. And there are some olives on there this year. I'm not sure, I can zoom in to see them. Maybe 6 or 8. See them right there? I don't know if I have a jar small enough to ferment these guys. It's been in there for quite a while. It's a fairly big tree. But no, we never ate olives off of it. Well, it's still a tree. The birds like it. This thing is a peach. It's a Florida King peach. Never ever ever buy this tree. Look at the root suckers. It comes up from the rootstock. Barely has any peaches ever. That was a waste of space. More okras, yes, okras and peppers that still need to be planted out. They're gonna go in the raised bed, the row okra, the row pepper, once the beans are done. In the meantime, they have to sit it out here. My temporary potting station because it's so nice and cool. These are chestnuts. I actually grew them from actual chestnuts. Let's see if it comes out. They have monster roots. You can't barely see this right now because it's upside down. And I'm hoping that in 3 to 5 years we get chestnuts from them. So the ones are already up potted, and of course they are a whole lot bigger. These things grow much faster than I thought a chestnut would grow. Because we have pecans from seed like this one, and this is about 10-12 years old by now. It still doesn't make pecans, but they're much slower growing than the chestnuts. So here we are in the mini orchard with the pool. This is a nectarine tree. It is ginormous. It has hundreds and hundreds of nectarines every year. And so far we ate maybe 3 because they all get the worms in them. Worms or the birds get them. Look at that. It's a shame because they taste really, really good. All this is pineapple guava. Man, they bloomed beautiful this year. And now they're setting fruit. The fruit isn't the best thing, really. It's kind of grainy. The taste is okay, but the texture isn't. But the petals, the flower petals when they were on, they taste good. That's what we come out here to nibble on. 2 more pomegranates. The one on the left is really, really, really blooming hard this year. And it already set some, I believe. Nope, these are empty. It's an empty one. There's one in here. Absolutely love the blooms. They look so soft and nice, and then they turn into this hard fruit. It's beautiful. Muscadines, of course, and this is getting harder too by the year to get fruit because I don't even know what gets it. The crows, the possums, the coons, the birds. We get plenty of fruit, but and they eat it up at no time. And then here is my 8-year-old, it is 7 or 8-year-old apple tree that I got from a friend. It was a cutting. It's an Anna apple. It is loaded this year. It has all these big clusters of apples. It's just beautiful. I don't even have a pollinator. Look, 4 at once. This one's really big. I'm looking forward to them. They're not quite done yet, but we have to get them before the stink bugs get them. And that sometimes means we eat them a little green, but who cares? This may be hard to see, but this is a row of mulberries. And what we do, we ruthlessly chop them every year at about that height that's like below hip height, because then you get these long shoots within the next year with the berries on it, and you can easily grab them. So can the birds. We haven't eaten many berries off of it, but it works good because in a big tree, how would you get to your berries? Now we're in the chicken yard, which is a full-blown food forest as well. There are soap nuts, there is more pomegranate, loquats. In the back is elderberry, citrus. There are cassava in here and chaya spinach. There is another elderberry so they can eat the fallen fruit. Of course, moringas. And then I have my new plants, my up potted things in here because it has the sprinkler. There are pears, just everything. The big pecans, plums, and the chickens get to eat everything that falls down. So in the chicken yard food forest, we also have our fabulous 3-bin compost system. It has a counterweight and it's really easy to just lift the lid and the lid stays. I have a video on that as well and I'll put that link down below too. So there's the new one, the middle one, and then it gets turned into the last one, which I really need to take out now because this is ready for the garden. Hey there. You too, huh? Did we get an egg today? So if you're still with me by now, these are 2 more peach Florida Kings. What a mistake I made. If you're still with me now, we can walk over to the row garden. Usually I grow my Seminoles in here. There's yet another video. I can put the link down below. But this year we're not. It's just so close to the house and we set up something nice for them in the row garden. This is more moringa. So let's talk about permaculture and row garden and Florida gardening. I have tried everything. I have done sheet mulching, wood mulch, feet deep wood mulch. I have tried interplanting. We've done everything. And we could not get good harvests. That's mostly because the bugs are hard to control and the weeds are even harder to control. And then those weeds obviously compete with what you're trying to grow. So we started to do a new thing about a year and a half ago. We cover up an area in the garden with these roadside, what I call the advertisement things. We cover that up. It's the plastic tarps. And then before we plant, we actually till, grasp your pearls. But we only plant things for 1 season. So as soon as these harvest is done, maybe I put little fall harvest in, depends on the weeds, we abandon this plot and go to another area. So I should probably show you this. So like I said, we put these gardens in and then we abandon them. And I'm not sure this is even visible. Here was a 25, I believe, by 50 garden. And if I'm standing in the middle of it, it's all overgrown. I mean, it doesn't even take until the season's over for this to overgrow. And then you get in these pioneer plants. I think this is fireweed or whatever this thing's called. And they regenerate the soil again. And before you know it, you can't even tell the difference. Same thing here. That's the new garden. Right there was the garden last year. And you can't hardly even tell the difference. So yes, we kill a lot of the soil biology, a lot of everything good that's in there by tilling it and covering it up. But by switching it, it gets returned really quickly and we avoid having to deal with the nematodes, which can really ruin your garden. Obviously, this only works if you have enough land. But so far, it is working well for us. Last year, we had the first really good crops of stuff, you know, not just like 3 little tiny peppers and 5 tomatoes. We actually could eat with what we grow. And this year we expanded it. This is double. And so I have tomatoes, 2 rows of tomatoes, mostly cherries. I'm just tired of waiting on the big ones to ripen before the stink bugs get them. These are all double rows. Let me show you here. Triple rows actually. So this has cherry tomato. It also has cucumber because we have the trellis in. And then this, my son just planted 216 jungle peanuts. Can't say teenagers are lazy. On the other hand, so they're all spread out. And what I do is the 3 crops on this one and also on the other one. So there too we have tomatoes, cucumbers, which come out then, and jungle peanuts. This also has some basil in between, and that goes on and on and on the same row. 2 rows of tomatoes, mostly cherry. This is a whole row of okra. Yes, that okra again. And on the other side, I will plant chufa, which is tiger nuts. They taste really good. Supposedly, they will work well on the drip line. We have drip line in here on the whole plot because you go crazy watering that by hand. And it also is easier on the weeds. Until it starts raining, the weeds stay kind of down. But I'll do an update on this and you can see how many weeds we have in about 2 weeks. This is what chufa looks like. It's the root nodule of a grass. And it tastes a little coconutty. And you can make chufa milk out of it too. It's like a nut milk, ground milk. It's popular in Spain. This is another row of okra and cucumber. And then here we have climbing beans and bell peppers. All sorts of little bell peppers, nothing big. I don't do the big ones like I mentioned before. These guys would carry over seeds, so I'm not quite sure what it is. I suspect it's the purplish red ones, which would be nice. They're easy to find, and I hope they do well. The next row of beans, I have 2 rows, has okra in front of it. And oh look, they're starting to bloom, I guess. This is called the Lazy Wife Greasy Beans. And I'll tell you something, I'm not a lazy wife. But I always wanted to have them strung up on the porch like they do, like in the Appalachian Mountains. So I'm trying them. They are not as vigorous as the green beans over here, but we'll see what happens. Apparently, they don't mind because they're already blooming. So you string them up and supposedly that kind of ferment dries them, and they are good. That's what people are saying, and we'll find out. Another thing in this garden is the root variety from Save-A-Lot. Now, we're not growing beer, but I needed a big marker so they don't step on it because this shoot just came up. This is moringa. It's going to look like elephant ear. And I also have moringa cocoa over there somewhere. And there are more moringas we put in later. They're not coming up yet. They may never come up. So Save-A-Lot always has these interesting roots. And since they're all edible, there is no need to worry, and we'll just stick them in and then see what happens and enjoy them. This row has watermelons and also some okras. We stick them in wherever we can. And then these are zucchini all the way over there. And over here are more watermelons, but they just sprouted, so I'm not sure they're even gonna make it. But the idea is, in the long run, because the zucchini die, the watermelon's gonna die, these will die. So I'm starting to stick in sweet potato on this row. And then they can climb over this way and that way to root, and they get watered because there are the 3 water lines then, but they can reach over to this and this. We'll just let them go crazy. And then this one is a row of Seminole pumpkin. I may have a lot of pumpkins or not. I mean, who knows? Florida is so unpredictable. It's shady over there. It's under the trees, and I am guessing that once they get bigger, they will start trailing over on that side. Once the flowers are done and they're seeding out, we'll mow them, and then the Seminole can grow over that way. All there. They like it kind of in the shade. They like trailing along things. And then they root as they go, and hopefully it works out. I also have some, let's see where it is. Oh yeah, this row has some cassava in it. I put quite a few in it, but only 2 really made it. The others had roots, but never pulled through. They're just sticks. So, oh well. I'm going to have some callaloo I'm planting in there, and some red amaranth stuff that just goes in between until the sweet potatoes take over. And then I have, I think, 3 or 4 Georgia candy roaster plants. They look a little similar to the Seminole, but they do not cross-pollinate, and that's important because, man, I'm getting so tired of buying seeds. So I grow less variety, but make sure they don't cross-pollinate, and that way I can keep the seeds for next year. It's kind of pretty right now. It's April. Well, it's May, 2nd May. Give it another 2 weeks and it'll be miserable. So now I can show you some couple other things we have, and then that's pretty much it for this video. Oh yeah, see, here's the bench, and here's another big mulberry. You're supposed to sit on the bench and watch this grow, but mostly the bench is just a tool holder for the hoe, where you go ho ho ho, mow all these weeds out. It's still beautiful though. So on this side of the property we have some really nice big fig trees, and I think they have figs on them already that are getting nice and big. It sure smells like figs when you walk up. Love them. Last year it wasn't so good. They got the rust. It was so dry in summer and we didn't water them. This year it may work out better. They dehydrate so well. And that's our citrus orchard that took a little bit of a hit this year with the horrible temperatures, but the oranges and the lemons still have fruit on them. Those are the new ones. And there are still oranges all the way up there. I don't know if that's visible. They were too high to harvest. Elderflowers are out. Time to make elderberry fritters. Link below. And that was it for today. Thanks for watching. I'm hoping to have some more updates on the row garden to see what worked and what didn't, how those tiger nuts came out, and the peanuts. But that's going to take another little while. Have a good day.